Hi. Praise Jesus. Hi. Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. Hi. Praise God. Hi. Okay. Let's look up stuff about God and Jesus or talk about something. Hi. Let's look up the chat. I'm going to put it on the screen. Hi. This is for you. Here's the video on my YouTube channel. Hi, praise Jesus. Let's turn the light on. Hi. Here's the Danzig baby that Rowan got out from the attic. That's from my Danzig video. I'm flying to Texas. Hi, here's the Danzig baby from the Danzig video. Here's the Danzig baby from the Danzig music video for my Danzig song that I made. It's a parody on Danzig. He's a human being. Jesus was kind to all human beings, even non-believers. And he said some non-believers will make it to heaven before some Christians. And we need Jesus to get into heaven. We need Jesus. Jesus. We need God. And today I was made to really suffer and work. God puts people through difficulties, and I had a really not easy day. It was many hours of suffering the least of others, almost every few moments, because being crushed and destroyed under them to do what God wanted me to do. And it wasn't easy. There's very little joy or fun, and it was mostly patience. I had to deprive myself of food. It was wrong to eat food, stuff like that. And I didn't give in to temptation the entire day, but I started to say, well, if God can do anything, and God does all things, then I thought, is God mean and in a way sadistic for allowing us all to suffer and allowing us all, well, not all of us, if Judgment Day happens in our lifetime, but most of us, or all of those who have died for all eternity on earth as human beings, why did he allow them to die? Why did he let them die? Because of the sin of the earth, obviously because of the sin. And God hates the sin. So when people sin, they may almost sin really bad in a way that they might become the devil. In a way, they let the devil into the body. That's a really bad example. It's almost like possession, almost like demon possession that was going on in the times that Jesus was alive, and he would make the demons or the devil go out of the devils. They're also called devils, common devils. So I don't use the devil's name that starts with an S. It almost, in a way, might conjure him into an existence, like calling to the devil if you say his name with an S. So I call him the devil. It kind of minimizes who he is, like a common devil, like all those other devils in hell who were once angels, the fallen angels who are devils now. And, that just causes suffering and everything bad. God does everything good, and God is really good. But, he does final judgment on us, and if people are really sinful, they may have to go to hell. But all of us will be changed. We will all be changed. We'll all make it to heaven. But I was so distraught. I thought God must be bad too. I thought God must be bad too. And, because God does all things and God does everything, and God has more knowledge of everything. He has knowledge of anything and everything that has ever existed and more that will exist, things that wilt, things that die, people who wilt and die, everything. He knows way more, infinitely more than any human being knows, and he knows more than the devil. And the devil is evil, and all the devil knows now is sin and evil. There's nothing good left about him. He's not even his original form. He's an it. He became the sin. And maybe I'm wrong in some ways. Maybe there's a chance that the devil is sometimes a he. But he's so far gone. You can't try to reach out to him. He tricks people and brings them. Don't go to the devil ever. It'll just ruin everything. So go to God, because God will protect you. And if you really have God a bunch, maybe there's some way you could be kind to the devil, but he'll usually just brings people down and tries to kill them and worse, and makes them suffer. He can try to make him suffer in eternity forever. But God is really good, and God has infinite knowledge of everything and more. He did everything on earth. God does all things. So in a way, God and in reality, God knows more about evil and good. He knows more about good. He is good. Jesus said that God was the only one who's good. So God is really good, and he has self-control and patience. Love is patient. That's in the Bible too. And God is love. So God has self-control and patience. So he doesn't be evil to anyone. And if anyone's ever mean that kills anyone, it's the sin itself that kills people, the devil. And it's not God who does it. But I was feeling so low today, and it was so difficult for many hours, almost every moment, having to suffer. And so I thought, well, if God does all things, and God does everything, then God must also be bad. And he also, at one time I said, when I was at my lowest point, I thought he must also be sadistic to allow us to suffer and allow these bad things to happen to us. But for some reason we don't understand. It's because of our own sin. And the sin of others that kills people sometimes, like it happened to Jesus, because Jesus was without sin. And so for some reason, he loves all of us so much, because God is really good. Even the atheists and the people who are so misled and lost, even the wicked people, God says all of us will be changed. We will all be changed in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump. When the trumpet sounds, we will all be changed. That means we'll all be made without sin. So hell may be a parable. As people sleep when they die, they sleep awaiting judgment, and some may go right to heaven and not have to be judged. And they sleep awaiting judgment. And when they're asleep, they may suffer like they're in hell in a very real feeling way. It's really bad and scary, because I was shown hell. And their soul may be in hell, away from their body. And then they're risen on Judgment Day, and supposedly we will all be changed on Judgment Day. That's in the Bible. And Judgment Day may also be a kind of timeless thing that takes place in different times. We don't know how what God means by every parable in the Bible. We don't understand every parable in the Bible. Few people have much knowledge about God and Jesus in a way that I think that I do, but I don't know if I do, because atheists and stuff, sometimes they're so godly in these ways that God made them the way they are, that they may know more about God than anyone. So they're like, why did God make us suffer? Like, he must not be real or whatever. And so I don't know, but I like to think that I know so much about God and Jesus, but I've only been studying about God and Jesus for 6 years. And so this is not the best lighting on my face. I've been eating a bunch of food, a little more food for 2 days. I went to the airport and I looked like really good looking. And I looked really good looking, and everyone was nice to me. And I was there for hours, waiting around all these other people, and it was really kind to everybody, and it felt really good and comfortable. It felt more fun there than it did at home. And it was really weird because I used to be so afraid of flying for, I don't know, so here and there, but sometimes I fly, and so I'm not afraid of it anymore. So now I suffered for about 2 days after the airport, and now I feel okay. So I feel okay. So I'll probably wear jeans to the airport because I wore short shorts, and it was like I got to feel like I was like looked really good because I showered and was really clean and looked good looking, and I had worked out a bunch. So I was like, I felt like I looked good and looked and felt good, and people were looking right at me, close to me and stuff, and they thought, it was like they were nice to me, and women noticed me and stuff, and I felt like, hey, I actually look okay because I had lost 20 pounds or 25 pounds, and it felt like I looked really good. Like it's a miracle I wasn't totally hep too fat or something like that, and I felt okay. And then when I went home, I didn't do any weird, creepy fantasies. I didn't be tempted about thinking of them in those ways. And I imagined being with my wife. I wrote to Danica. I texted her, and I wrote to my wife a bunch. And so I wasn't bad, but I think she still got angry that I don't know. She doesn't know how good I am out in public. Like I don't look at the women's body. I don't look at the women's bodies or another woman's body in a way that's ever like lustful in public, unless it's my own wife. That has been really difficult for me to not have her with me to get to feel normal around and stuff. And so I had to suffer for, it's been 7 years that I haven't done any sex stuff or whatever it's called. It's been 7 years. The weird thing is, what's his name? Oh, you don't know. I don't know if you know. He went 9 years without sex. A really famous person. Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz. I can't judge him, but he has not had sex in 9 years, and maybe it's as many as 10. I don't know if he's. I don't. You can't look up. You don't want to look up to people as a false idol, but he said that, and I was going to be his bodyguard in Los Angeles. I was almost going to be his bodyguard because I like him and get along with him or his. I've never met him. I've never met him in real life, but I think I would get along with him. So I was going to maybe be his bodyguard. And then who knows, maybe he'd let me play drums for him or play music with him or something. So I don't know. But I was going to be his bodyguard because I'm like kind of big and strong. So, okay, I'm going to look at the chat. I'm going to look at, see if people are chatting. I'm going to see what people are saying. I'm trying to zoom in on it. Yo, don't forget to take your meds, Johnny boy. I just seen your community post. Yeah, I should probably delete it. I should probably delete the post. I took my meds after that. Felt really distraught because I was trying to lose weight, and then I don't know. But I had, sometimes I would not take the medicine, and I don't know. Oh, somebody said, hi. Okay. I want to see where that post is. This is the weirdest lighting on my face. I'm going to see if I look any better with the light off. Maybe it's going to, I don't know. It was like suffering all day or whatever. I'm trying to zoom in on it. Why did I put the chat down there? Oh. I don't know what it's doing, obviously, right? Okay. Don't forget to take your meds, Johnny boy. Hey, you bought the Vampires of Zanzibar t-shirt? It's a miracle. Yay, it's a miracle. Somebody bought a Vampires. No. Somebody bought a Vampires of Zanzibar t-shirt. Yay. You're in the club. He can, if we, maybe when we film Vampires of Zanzibar Part 2, if you want to be in the movie or hang on in the set, you can probably do it if you write me or something like that. If somebody wants to hang out on set or something like that. Eddie or somebody. That's good. But I'm going to Texas. I don't know if I'm going to go to LA one day or not. I'm not going now. I got to go to Texas because that's where Danica and my kids are. It was not in particular some place that I thought was like the coolest place ever, but they have NASA. They have the Houston Astros. They have the Houston Aquarium, the Houston Zoo. The guy who made Whole Foods is from Houston, and he lives in Austin. Supposedly lives in Austin, Texas. No, there ain't gonna be none of that that kind of stuff going on. Nope. People may joke about those things that I don't hear them say. Or if they say them, I'll try to say, we got to do it G-rated now. We're G-rated. The second Vampires of Zanzibar movie may not be R-rated because I'm into God and Jesus a bunch, or I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. I don't know. But God told me in a parable, or in the Bible, that sometimes curse words are more godly and innocent than because than some really sinful stuff, because even the curse words are used to describe things like when people use the bathroom or whatever. And so, but it's like it's not that bad. Like it's a literal description of something God created for humans to do. So it might be gross or whatever, but it's not that sinful if it's done in the right context, or with all someone's heart, or someone's heart, or I don't know. So maybe it's not that bad. Like, it's not done in meanness. Like, it's not like trying to lead a child into temptation with really bad, like, just, who knows what kind of things that some people say. There's none of that in my movie, The Vampires of Zanzibar. And so if a kid asks their mom and dad's permission, I think if they're a little old enough, or I don't know, they got to watch the movie and it wasn't bad. I really found God again before I made the movie, and I was so distraught and sad having to be a real estate agent. And then I got to make the movie. God let me make the entire movie. I got to quit being a real estate agent, and I used my $10,000 I had saved up, and I made a movie. And I went into credit card debt to pay for the rest of it because I almost wouldn't have been able to film the entire movie, so I had to pay for it on credit cards. And then I got the movie filmed, and it was a miracle. And so if you want to be in the I don't know. Yeah. I wonder who else said hi, or if they did. Some other people did. I don't know how to see. Oh. Or somebody. Okay. Wow. Oh no. No. I don't want to get down to hell. No. No. No, I don't want to get down to hell. No. Like the no. Like they have those little, I think they have those little demons. Like, have you ever seen the movie Ghost? Like, there's little shadow creatures of demons. They're like, they look like they're about like I don't know, like three like 3 feet tall or 2 feet tall, like 2.5 to 3 feet tall. They're like 3 feet tall, and they're like shadows. It looks like their entire body's made of a black shadow or a dark shadow. It's almost black. It looks black. And I saw them one time when I had barely slept for 2 weeks, and I saw all this hell stuff, and God showed me what hell was really like by depriving me of sleep somehow. And it only happened 2 times, and I thought it was the end of the world, and I didn't understand enough about Jesus that Jesus is going to come down to earth the second time. I thought I had to be Jesus, and I thought I had to suffer like Jesus on earth, and I tried my best to be as Jesus-like as possible, and I thought I had to risk all my worst fears happening to be as kind to everyone as possible, and I tried to be as Jesus-like to all of them as I was able to do. And then they made it worse and worse, and I lost it, and I didn't know enough about God and Jesus. So the first time it happened, I started being like really mean, and it was bad, and I don't know why God did that to me. And then it happened a second time, and I felt so bad about it. I was just Jesus like the whole time and tried to act like Jesus, and I faced the worst fears ever to make up for the first time when I was mean when I did it. And the second time I was as Jesus like as possible. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing enjoyable, nothing fun about it. It's my worst fears imaginable, like real hell stuff shown to me, like horrors worse than they do to anyone on earth. And I had to face all that and be willing to suffer through almost all of it. Well, I was willing to suffer through all of it that I was able to. There were fears of what would happen to me on earth, and I faced all of that and tried to be as Jesus-like as possible, in as big a way like Jesus did on earth, not big and powerful, but a way that would get the word out to all of the nation, like in a political way, to make up for the sin that I had done, that I thought I did this first time in a really big mean way out there, which may have been crazy. Maybe I was crazy and I didn't know because I hadn't slept for 2 weeks, and I had slept like an hour or two a day or half an hour a day, some days 3 hours a day, and I started to visually hallucinate and saw hell. And it was something that God showed me that was real hell, and it was frightening. And I didn't really know what it was. I thought it was like an Illuminati hell place and then I read the Bible. I knew it was hell, but I didn't, it was like on earth, and I didn't know why I was seeing it. And so, but I just acted like Jesus the second time, the whole way through. The second time, the whole way through, I acted like Jesus, and I thought I had to be Jesus in the second coming, because I didn't understand enough about the Bible, but I knew I was raised on Jesus. You're supposed to be kind to others, and that was the main thing I understood, and other stuff in the Bible. So I thought I had to face all my worst fears. It was the scariest thing. It was like going into Jerusalem. And it wasn't anywhere near that bad, because Jesus was there to protect me as a human being. And so it was like facing the worst horrors, worse than a war. And I could see all the stuff that they were doing, and it was stuff that they do down in hell. But in real life, I just hadn't slept. It wasn't like really going to a war, and I didn't know what would happen. I thought these really bad horrors were going to happen down in hell to me. And I faced all my worst fears, and God only gave me what what I was able to go through. Like, I had to go to a hospital that I was so afraid of hospitals back then. And I used to work out a bunch so I wouldn't have to go to a hospital. And it was one of my worst fears. I ended up having to go again and again to hospitals and this other stuff. And then, but I acted like Jesus and I suffered a bunch. And then everything was okay. I thought it had to be like the second coming of Jesus on earth. And so it was as scary as if I had to go into Jerusalem back then when Jesus knew he was going to be crucified and killed and persecuted and all that, and I had to face all that stuff and try to be as kind to everyone and as big a way out there as possible, not worried about how they would politically like punish me or anything. And I had to do that in the face of all of it, and it was so frightening. And I did my best. And because I hadn't slept for 2 weeks, they put me in the hospital for like a week, and then they sent me home. And so now I just don't drink a bunch of coffee if I quit my medicine, because then that was what did it. That was what made it so I couldn't sleep. But I didn't understand, because I'd weaned off the medicine for 6 months, and then at the very end of it, I was like, hey, this is pretty good. And I kept drinking coffee, and the coffee interacted with the medicine. It made it so I couldn't sleep. I don't know. And it made it so somehow it made it so I couldn't sleep, and I had to be like Jesus, and it was so frightening. And that made up for a bunch of my sin, because I thought I was going into Jerusalem like to be crucified, but worse, because there's this hell stuff down in hell that they do to people that was way worse than happened to Jesus on earth, like really, really bad. And I thought they were going to do it all to me, and I had to face it all and be like Jesus. I thought I had to be the second coming of Jesus on earth. There's not much sin. There's like nothing of lust. I was so afraid the whole time. And so then they put me in some hospital. I was so afraid of it, and I stayed there for a week, and then they sent me home in a bus with $2 and a sandwich and a brown blanket. And and my ID. And I had to make it all the way across country from where I had not slept in like 2 weeks. I tried to drive to Texas, but it doesn't happen anymore. That was in 2017. And I've been to Texas 8 times after that. 8 times after that. After that, I went to Texas 8 times. That was the first time I tried to drive there. And then another time I tried to drive there and I didn't make it. I went from LA and went like 800 miles or something. And I was so afraid I had to turn back and drove all the way back to LA. And it was fun driving in the desert. It was warm, and it was like Ayla. I thought Ayla wanted me to live in LA back then because it was closer to Texas, because the plane flights are direct to there, and it was like peaceful driving through the desert. It was like warm to my body, and it felt good to my body, and it was easy driving all the way through the desert long distances for some reason. And I don't know why, it was like easy driving through there. But that was back then. But now, like the South, like Charlotte and the entire South is supposed to be really good. But I don't know why. God said it's really good more than I know. And so I don't know where I'm going to live or what. Okay. I don't know what the story would be. I got to go. I'm going to go. Okay. Okay. Praise Jesus.